Brandon the Cannon Adams, Los Angeles's finest. What's going on? What's going on, Brandon?
All is well, man. I can't complain. I'm in great shape. I'm feeling good. The mind is clear. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, man, you are fresh off of wearing the gray wig at the weigh-ins, saying your back hurts, getting off the
Yes, sir.
scales, and then really taking it to Serhii Bohachuk, fresh off that Virgil Ortiz fight. A lot of people thought he might have won, where he got two knockdowns on Ortiz. You came in as an underdog to Allegiant Stadium on the Canelo-Crawford card and handily beat him over 10 rounds, man. So you're coming in with some momentum. Help me again, Agarco. You're fighting in an IBF super welterweight eliminator. You are the top ranked contender for Josh Kelly's title. Kahim Agarco. Help me one more time, Brandon.
It's Corium Agarco, if I'm not
Corey
mistaken.
Agarco.
Yes.
Yep. And man, let's just start there before we get into the whole big picture, man. He is kind of. I see some boxing fans and experts kind of comparing his style to Conor McGregor. Being a guy who jumps in, tries to be explosive with everything he does, that kind of thing. And
Okay.
yeah, what's your first thoughts on this matchup, man? And again, it's an eliminator for Josh Kelly's title here in Vegas.
One of the things that stood out to me that he also highlighted himself during our interview was that his amateur pedigree. He had lots of amateur fights, if I'm not mistaken, over 100. That's way many more than I had. I only had 7. So, and he's been boxing since he was a pup out of his own mouth. So he feel, as far as experience goes, even though I fought professionally longer than him, he has more experience than I have. When I was watching him fight, I was a little confused because you said he fights like McGregor, but once you
Or Ben, Conor Ben.
well,
Yeah.
oh, Conor
Conor
Ben.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, if that's his approach towards a fight, that'd be very dangerous fighting me like that. I'm what fighters like to call slick, or coaches at least. Uh, I believe he does fights in spurts. It's more of that amateur style. He turned it, it's done him justice. He's 17-0 as a professional. So it's done him justice in the fights that he had. I think the last fight that he had that was controversial was Ishmael Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where they're pulling from, trying to say, like, well, this is going to be a good scrap because he beat Ishmael Davis. And they're comparing me to Ishmael Davis. But I don't think there's much of a comparison there either. But because Ishmael, I'm a lot more elusive than Ishmael is. I flow when I fight. And I feel like once we get in the ring and we fight, once we hit each other, once we exchange punches, man, I think the game plan will change, and I'll be the one who knows how to adapt. To me, he fights similar towards. It was a fight that I fought on the overtime tournament. The first fight, I'm trying to think of. I don't want to mispronounce his name. Bavilla is his last name.
Ishmael Villarreal.
Ishmael, yeah. And they fight. There's similarities there. And I'm looking forward to this fight because I know what I'm capable of doing. And it's just about going out there and showing the whole world, reminding them exactly who I am.
I can see why you thought I said Ireland real quick because his opponent is from Ireland, Raheem. So he thought he heard Conor McGregor and not Conor Ben. But go ahead.
Funny enough, you did say Conor McGregor.
Did I?
And I was about to jump in there, but I was like, I'm sure Brandon will handle it. And I didn't want to interrupt you to start over. You literally said that. And maybe, just out of curiosity, the reason Conor McGregor is on your mind is because there's so many antics in boxing right now and so many showmen. You got your wig on, you got off the scales and made a little bit of show yourself. How do you feel about the current atmosphere where, it's been said, and Sean and I had a off-camera conversation that was so real, we couldn't even bring it to the audience. We're still debating whether or not we can share it. But the crux of it, from my perspective, was that, a lot of times black fighters, sometimes especially black female fighters, will have to play up these kind of antics and create these personas and sometimes be unnecessarily hood or ghetto or be at least present that way to get action and get attention. Do you think that's a fair assessment that is unique necessarily to black fighters? Is that true for all fighters?
To a certain degree, because I know exactly what you mean. I know where you're coming from when you say that, and it's all about the audience. You know, who's your audience, and a lot of times when people push the narrative of coming from out of their community and how they still plugged in or tied to their community, that's real big for them to be like, it's where I come from. So then they have that swag of wherever they come from. Like me being from Watts, like I 100% let everybody know where I come from, but that has zero to do with where I'm going. Everybody, when we hold a conversation, it's kind of funny because everybody goes, they could tell where I come from without me having to always display it. I don't have to always display that. I don't have to carry myself. I don't have to always speak in a way of letting you know where I'm from because I want to be able to speak universally. I want to be able to sit down and communicate with a whole segment of people in which don't know anything about South Central. So I understand that whole thing, where you kind of carry us. It's kind of hip hopish. I'm not gonna kid. You know what I'm saying? It's hip hopish. I don't think we necessarily do have to do that as long as you have the capabilities of being a showman within that moment, within that event. Like for instance, you were talking about Conor Ben and Conor McGregor. Well, Conor McGregor is Irish and how he carry himself. Predominantly, people usually think of Irish people as for being drunks and loud and obnoxious and all of those crazy things. A certain side of Irish, not all,
No, but for
not
sure.
across the whole board, all right?
For sure.
But for the most part, like when you think about the fighting Irish, those are sort of the things that you put your mind around. And when Conor McGregor, once he starts to carry himself like how he goes about it, it's likable, but it's almost to a certain extent to where it's expected of Irish fighters to be that way now, especially since he came out and did it that way. So I think it goes towards what audience that you had pulled. Me, I'm not sure exactly what audience I do have. I do know for the most part what group of people resonate with me most. But I like to think that these hands have created a universal fan base and not just my local fan base, if you will.
Yeah, go ahead, Raheem, because I know Raheem wants to get into some shit. Yeah.
No, I'm not going to belabor this point. I was just going to say, even I was triggered when as soon as Sean said Watts, I wanted to say Watts up. I thought maybe you would be the first to do such things. It's sometimes about where you're from, yeah, but the culture of it is displayed in many ways. And so when you come up against a Josh Kelly, ultimately if you're successful and get that kind of shot, we see Conor Ben and Conor McGregor, some might argue, getting paydays, outsizing their at least achievement, if not skill set and accomplishments. And a lot of fighters get some traction out of just putting on a certain kind of show and personality that might get them bigger paydays than they would otherwise get just with them hands.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to you negotiating for your shot, how much of it is a part of the Brandon Adams brand, and how much of it is a part of the Cannon hands?
Yeah. Well, personally, like I said, man, depending on my opponent and the energy that they do bring is kind of how I conduct myself. But I don't ever want to. I want to be true to self. And never lose myself in what I'm doing. So that's another reason why I don't carry about being outlandish because I'm a man of my word, and if I do say one thing, if you was to ever call me or pull me up upon something that I said, months back, and I was just, out here speaking. I gotta be mindful of everything in which I'm saying or what I'm producing because I got a boxing gym. The kids in the boxing gym, they look up to me. Within my community, you know what I'm saying, where I come from in Watts, they look up to me. Uh, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm an uncle, I'm all of those things. So for me, I can't be out here cutting up, acting real wild after I told them how kind of like my life is already it's changed and I've been kind of in a sense per se reborn versus the way that I once was growing up. I can't be out here carrying myself with that certain swag and then when everybody see me in person, I was like, that was just for TV. That was because now that was real fraudulent, and that's a whole lot of makeup I will have to be doing. So it's funny because when I was getting ready to fight Jamal Charlo, and we went to Houston, I decided to go to Houston, and we did everything. I was expecting for them to act aggressive towards me because in their past, that's what they do to their opponents. And when I came in there, it's unfortunate, man, but in the back of my mind, I was looking forward towards it. So I kept smiling because I was waiting. I was looking at all of his folks in their eyes, from Jamel to his whole squad, and all of them, they kind of would just quietly sit and observe me, but I was observing them. And nobody stepped out of line. When I was doing an interview, I would speak, and it was once I think somebody from his team said something, but it was like more so of like a family member. So then I was like, hold on, what? Like while I was interviewing, I was like, oh, huh? And then it was like, like I heard everybody tell whomever said something in his camp to be quiet. And then it was like, "No, you good." So then I was like, "All right," and I kept talking. But in my mind, when I said "huh," I was going for it. I was waiting. I was like, "Oh, what's up?" Because I know y'all play in LA. I know y'all come to LA. If y'all wanna bring that kind of energy, because I kind of don't look. Before I was involved in boxing, um, all I knew was how to conduct myself as within my community. And if you say something, if you talk and you carry yourself a certain way, and you get pressed, and somebody press you, that I'm like you you got to back up what you're talking about, or you gonna fold. You're gonna tuck tail, and once you do that, that situation, like that carries, that follows you until it doesn't follow you no more. But for the most part, um, it's hard for that to ever leave unless you start doing, you start cutting up. So for me, when I was approached that way when we was in Houston, and I was doing the interview, and I heard somebody slightly under their breath say something, and I stopped the whole interview, and I was like, "Huh? Wait, somebody was saying something." And then it was like, "No, no, you good." I remember it was the coach Jack. He was like, "No, you good, Adams. You good, man. It's straight." And I was like, "All right, for sure." And I kept talking, and I was just like, "Man, that was the closest moment to where a fighter ever kind of um, brought that kind of energy towards me." And I was waiting. I was hoping, and it was vanquished in a mere matter of seconds. So nobody ever got that side of me. So that's why everybody usually always see me smiling. But I can be a showman. That's why I brought the old man cannon out. Garco called me old man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna live up to being the oldest dude in our division, whooping ass.
Yeah, and that was you being you. I know from the days of you training with Sean here in Vegas, and we would joke about playing Street Fighter, Street Fighter Third Strike, and you go ahead, hit him with the Ryu. Yeah, he would do it with that. But so when I saw you come out in the wig, I was like, that's just Brandon being Brandon, like being lighthearted, being good natured before he's gonna do what he's about to do. But you talked about being the 36-year-old guy in a division loaded with young talent, champions all in either below 30 or Josh Kelly right around 30. How confident are you, man? You're going to get past this assignment in April and get over that hump and become world champion. And how confident are you going to actually get your shot? The IBF is the strictest when it comes to guys really following when they really follow their rules. They'll mandate it where the other three are more flimsy. But how confident are you if you win this fight, the politics won't give that fight to someone else, a Jaron Ennis, you know, something like that? And how confident are you're going to become world champion?
This is exactly why we went the IBF way, because they are the strictest. And I know everybody who's at the top of our division is thinking unification. Um, they're thinking undisputed. And that's what I got my eyes set on. I've always, not only did I want to become the world champion my whole boxing career, but I also believed that I could be undisputed. And it all started from a dream of fight night. Like, all joking aside, man, I was playing fight night and I became the man there. And I was like, man, I could do this in real life. And you know, that's where it's always been. But I believe that I'm as far as skills go, I'm the craftiest out of all of us, out of everybody that you can name within our division that is actually competed within our division at 154. I'm the craftiest. I've got the most experience. I've fought. Um, my resume. I think honestly, I have the deepest resume. Everybody says who they fought, but I fought against some of the toughest guys. I fought against a lot of Olympians, uh, Olympian alternatives, champions. And when you look at that, I mean, there's a popularity contest happening right now too within my division. The celebrity 154 pounders, and this is no shock towards what they've done, but Virgil, Ennis, uh, who else?
You got Sebastian Fundora, who's the WBC champ.
Well, Sebastian's the champion, and that's why I didn't want to actually throw him under in that
Right.
Department. Just
technically Conor Ben, since he's fighting Regis at 150, so that's technically super welterweight.
Okay, so then there you have some of the guys who have a bit of a celebrity behind them and their names, and then you'll have a guy like me who don't have as much as of a celebrity push, but has that recognition. And like I said, dude, one of the things is a lot of people wasn't itching or looking forward to fighting Bohachuk. He was been avoided. Um, Even after I gave him his first loss, he was still avoided. A lot of fighters didn't want to match up with him. And what Boychuk's team wanted to do was come and correct a wrong in his career and then go after Virgil right after that momentum. And I derailed it. And I thought that it would have been only right if me and Virgil fought next. And Virgil's manager was like, oh, hell no, we're going a different direction. And, you know, he made very clear that their path was to stay on a path away from me. So I was like, I kind of noticed it was a pattern of everybody staying away from Brandon Adams. Don't bring Brandon Adams' name up. I'm like, if you think about it, my accomplishments, I still, nobody says my name in the division. Like you don't hear, the only people who saying my name are interviewees, maybe sometimes trainers who don't want their fighter, coaches who don't want their fighter to actually get in the ring and fight me, or who got an opinion, but in reality, the actual fighters, nobody's saying my name. And at first, for me, I was wondering, I was like, damn, why ain't nobody saying my name? I got all the picks. I probably could have been like one of the easiest names for people to say when it came to fighting. But maybe that's what it was, is, you know, it's it was the opposite of what I was feeling and thinking. Is just respect. They just know if they say my name, they're gonna have to live up to it. And then we're gonna have to get in the ring and we're gonna see about it. And I feel like I got every tool. I'm quick enough. In the strength department, I believe I'm the strongest 154 fighter in today's division. And I'm slick enough, I'm quick enough, I'm fast enough, I'm strong enough. I have the ring IQ. I've been in the ring. I know how to survive. I know how to dissect my opponent. I have everything to become your world champion. So that's what I'm going for.
You talk about nobody saying your name. It's a bit kind of why I started with that first question because do you feel like these sanctioning bodies are working off of a meritus system of like a, meritocracy, or is it publicity and financial opportunity? Because that is one of the big questions. Obviously, the WBC can't stay out of the news with their decision making. You say you want the IBF partially because you feel like maybe that is where you get the most honest ranking and the most likely shot. First of all, how difficult is that to navigate as a fighter who doesn't have the air quote celebrity behind him, who, while entertaining, isn't willing to go into the clown category to try to get attention, but have the resume and have the skills to not only be a contender, but to have earned a title shot?
Well, again, I went with the IBF because I know they were the strictest, and I know that was a route to go. And now, as far as the WBC, the WBO, the WBA, we went. Me and my manager Mark Habibi went to these conventions to make sure that we can show face, so everybody can see us. One of the best parts about these things is Mark already had a little bit of a relationship with them, but because I've been in boxing for so long and I've been around the realm of the top 10 and top whatever. Um, these guys have already known who I have been as well for many years. And we've always kind of kept in touch with one another, whether it have been emails or somebody's assistant, just kind of keeping up. I know that it depends. I'm not going to sit here and speak for any um, the WBC, the WBO, the WBO, because I am right now, if I'm not mistaken, at the WBO, I'm ranked number one. Or is it the WBA? I believe it's the WBO. But I
You are.
also know,
Yeah, you're
uh,
number one with the WBO. You're number two with the WBC. Yep.
Yeah,
all
but I
right.
feel like if you thought the WBO was going to give you a shot at being number one, you'd be able to remember that off the top of your
Yeah.
head.
Well, no, it's because the numbers just changed, and I try not to be so much of a numbers guy. My team is they big. You're number one, Brandon. You're number. And for me, because in my career I've been there, I've been those numbers before, and it meant nothing then. It meant nothing when I was with my old promotion, and the promotion didn't have any push. They didn't have no movement for me. It wasn't nothing happening except a bunch of like layoffs and all of that. I would like every time when I heard numbers back when I used to get sick to my stomach. So now I don't get sick to my stomach. I just know it could not matter just as much as it does matter. I don't get wild by being called number one in the world until that number one means that I'm holding the title. Then I'm number one in the world, and this is the title to prove it. So I feel and believe that where my last promotion failed was the promotional side of promoting me as being their top fighter from that promotion. And I feel and believe that with the all of social media now, all of the sanctioning bodies know how to use the social media platform, and I know that I'm a likable entity enough for to make them be like, like, yo, not only does Brandon produces knockouts and fan friendly fights, but also, and if you're seeing that side of me, like when you're seeing all the other champions who's being recorded for whatever it is that they're doing, I do a lot of fun things. I'm not boring. It's a lot of things that will be produced as time progress. So all of those things that you probably question upon, like, well, why aren't you out and you're doing all of these other things? I like to train a whole lot, and I like work is not done, and because work isn't done, I don't feel I'm allowed or I have that opening to be able to flaunt who I am as much. So just what I'm saying, sit back. It's happening, and this is my time. I'm in the realm of my time, so I just want to do what I said that I was going to do, produce, and then allow people to see a little more of who and what I am.
Now, Brandon, following your fight, the rematch with Bohachuk, I heard from a lot of people in the business, Brandon Adams is signed to Zufa. Brandon Adams is signed to Zufa. And I also hear from people in the business that one of the strong arguments for Zufa is, okay, maybe it's going to be a lot more difficult to ever be a Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, and get that group of people, especially if they're not being funded by Turkey long term at some point. But it's going to be hard to get them to break you off 15, 20, 25. I know Connor just got it, but it's also really being funded by Salah. And basically, that if it goes the UFC route and Zufa is able to be successful with their benchmarks, it's going to be a lot harder to get that big money that's been in boxing for the top 1% or 1% or whatever. But for your contenders, for your guys that sometimes like don't have the big promoter and they're not able to stay active and they're not always able to get their shot, Zufa could really benefit that echelon of fighters. And so what happened there when I'm hearing Brandon Adams is with Zufa, and now instead you've decided to go the traditional route? I want to fight for one of the 4 sanctioning body titles. What made you choose to go the traditional route and not ink something with Zufa long term?
Well, I just went the route that I was more familiar with when I was coming up, when I was growing up. That was what I knew of. It was only 2 belts that I truly really knew about, and that was the green and the red belt.
Right. Yeah.
And the first boxer that I really knew anything about when I was young, I was born in 1989. It was Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, Punch Out, Mike Tyson. When I got a little older, I learned about Muhammad Ali. Like when I say a little older, I mean like I want to say probably like around 5th grade. When I was 10, I've learned about who Muhammad Ali was. But before that, it was Mike Tyson. So when I was coming up and when I was involved with boxing, it was the belts. It was the 4 belts. It was the sanctioning bodies. So there's unfinished business there. I want to take care of it. Zufa's cool. I got good friends at the top. Mark Habibi's very good friends with the CEO of Zufa, if I'm not mistaken. You know, it's that probably will be in the near future. Could be. We will weigh the options, but right now, man, I'm going for what I'm familiar with. I'm going for all as Booker T said, we coming for the gold, sucker. I ain't gonna finish the rest.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
Well, I think another element or a layer to what Sean is asking, though, is also what Zuffa brings is not just the Zuffa belt. And it's funny because a lot of the argument on the side of this 4 belt era is that young fighters, and you're still in a category of relatively young in that you are a Mike Tyson baby. You
Yeah.
are still looking up to the green and the red belts and remembering the nostalgia of that and wanting to have that legacy as well. You may be the last of those fighters, though. And what comes with Zuffa, which we don't really know yet, because right now they're still functioning under the same rules and regulations that everybody else is. They have people fighting for, one of these sanctioning body belts. They're giving Conor Ben 15 mil, or, so right now nothing's really changed. But is part of the thing that maybe, and I'm asking, I'm not suggesting, that gave you pause or hesitation beyond the belts, is the kind of mystery of what structure you would be buying into or what you would be giving up in the way of autonomy or ability to negotiate with the structure that they seem to want to implement soon?
Yeah. Yes. Zufa is relatively new, and I don't know what that could mean. For me, I am not a spring chicken. I'm going after what I already know exists. If there's room for me to be able to go for more, then I'm going to do so. But right now I went for what I know exists, what I know is real, what I know can happen, as long as I do what I'm supposed to do. And like I said, afterwards, then whatever happens, happens. But right now, I want to be your world IBF champion, your WBC, WBA, WBO. I want to be your world champion there. If that catapults me towards also winning other titles in a different organization, then so be it. But right now, I got my eyes set up on those 4 belts. And I feel like I'm so close to being able to accomplish that. The only person who could derail me is self right now, and I'm feeling real good about self. So it's gonna be real hard for one of these young bucks to come and do something that even the guys won't in my prime wasn't able to necessarily do, or they prime, or however you want to look at it.
I guess this last one for me then. Did you feel this was a gamble in some respects? Like was that offer definitely on the table? Like there was smoke there. You definitely could have been a Zufa fighter. And do you feel this is, in any ways, is this a gamble? Going the IBF route instead of going with Zufa.
Um, I was offered Zufa, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Zufa is interested in me. The last show that I did fight September.
It's a pretty big show.
Yeah, and Zufa was there. Like,
right.
Let's not sugarcoat it. So before I fought, I paid very close attention to how I was treated. And then after the fight, I was like, oh, okay. Huh. So I got a little bit of a taste of what Zufa, excuse me, had to offer. And my life is a risk as me being a boxer. Any moment, I could make a false move and that's all she wrote, at least for that night. So I didn't look at it as like me going, taking a gamble, going the IBF route versus going towards Zufa. I feel like it can always be there as long as I do what I'm doing over here, and I'm likable. I sat down with Dana, came in our room and spoke with us. Nick came in the room and spoke with us while Dana was speaking, and everybody in there knew who I was by first and last name base, and they was expecting things from me before the fights when they was like, hey man, you win, and the door's just about to open up for you. And I just told him, like, yeah, I know. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. So I know that there's interest there, period. And there will be a lot more interest there, especially if I do what I say I'm going to do. That's it.
Every fight is a gamble for sure. This is a blood sport, and you put your lives on the line when you step through the ropes. But when you get into your mid-30s of a very young man's early in your 36 years on this planet of a career, there starts to mount a little bit of pressure. You're at these crossroad decisions, and it's not just the gamble that's happening inside the ring, but the decisions that you're making really could be the story written of the last trajectory that you have on the way to a title shot, or what your legacy is ultimately going to be at this stage, right on the cusp potentially of getting a title shot and realizing some of these boyhood dreams. How much pressure are you feeling from the clock?
None. I'm in way more control of my body than ever. That's one thing that nobody tells you about when with age and refinery. I'm in way more control of my mentality. Like mentally, I am stronger than I've ever been. I don't question or doubt things that I once was as a young man. And all of these years, I didn't party, I didn't drink, I didn't hang out. I'm married. I got a lot of kids and nieces and nephews who are my kids as well. When I stayed out late, it was at the gym. I stayed out late at the gym. So as far as like my body and me being weary of what my body can't produce, or you will see every way and I look and how I look is how I feel. And that, as far as time goes, man, I am not gonna cap it because I am stronger than I've ever been. And I'm not just saying that. Like I'm a better speaker now than I was when I was younger. Like there's so many things that I'm learning to become better at this age right now. Like I believe, I know I'm in a time, I'm in within my time frame of when somebody say this is my time. This is my time, and they live it, they breathe it, they like that's where I'm at right now. And I've never felt so in control. And I know there's times where fighters say that, and then next thing you know, it didn't go their way. Like, no, that I truly believe at this point in my life, nothing can't go my way. Like all of that suffering, all of that training, all of those things, all of that, the reading of just from books, reading articles, all of those things is it's just like all of a sudden it all makes sense today.
So, with all that said, that's a lot about your character. I got to tell you, when I spoke to Sean about potentially doing this interview, Mark hit us up and was like, get my guy on. And, Mark's fantastic. And Sean knows you better than I do, to be fair. And he was like, absolutely, without hesitation. That's a good guy. I fuck with him. Let's do it. No
Yeah.
problem. So that is your reputation, in the community. Sean's a straight shooter as always. So when it comes to what you might have to make in the way of another fork in the road decision with all these players in the game, what is the most important or most value to you? Getting a shot, maybe against a Josh Kelly who would give you a nice payday, but you can acquire a title there. Or what happens if this Conor Ben name pops up and they want you at the top of the card of a fight like that, where you might get more money, you could get a big payday, but not attain a world title in the process. Where are your priorities lying now at this stage of your career?
We coming for the gold, sucker. We coming for the gold, sucker.
The
Hulk
gold
Hogan.
bricks or the gold belts?
Nah, man, I want the belts. I want the belts. I'm gonna get my feeling. I'm gonna feel good about everything afterwards. But right now, my focus is obtaining all of those little titles, so I can when I go and I go and speak, and I go speak within our communities or anybody else's communities, make sure to bring them straps. Make sure to bring them and talk to our youth and lay them down. Let them know that I am tangible. I am here in the flesh. This is what I was able to create with the life that I was given. And it sucked in the beginning, but this is what I was to be able to make out of it. I became the world champion. The president is the president of the United States. Presidents are presidents of their countries. I am the champion of the world. And I'm here speaking to you in the flesh. And I want to be able to do that. My coach, Dub Huntley, used to always say that, Brandon, you'll be champion of the world. President is only president of the United States, but he ain't president of the whole entire world. You could be champion of the whole. Yeah, that's
Keep it going.
Take it easy, buddy. But you gonna be champion. You gonna be champion of the world. And boy, you funny for that. But yeah.
Sean. I didn't mean to bring that energy. My bad.
No, Brandon, though, I do gotta ask because I know I said it was my last. I lied. I'm sorry. Just because when you said I saw how they treated me in the aftermath, was that and you mentioned Dana and Nick came in to talk to you personally, knew you first name, last name, but when you said you got a taste of how they'll be treating fighters and everything, was it a positive thing overall or negative?
Well, it's how you look at it. Like me personally, I'm not really big on Vegas. So right after the fight, they ushered us out like we were presidential. It was like right after the fight, we did the interview. They was like, all right, come on, come up over here, jump up in this van and let us take your ass back to your room. And I was like, hey, man, I'm going to take my ass back to this room because that's what I was going to do anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I was definitely, because I know if Boychuk would have won, I feel and believe because he was part of their whole promotion and everything with 360 partner and with, what was the promotion that was
Tom Loeffler. With
yeah.
Tom Loeffler, yeah.
But I'm sure he would have had an opportunity to sit with your excellency or the rest of whomever was over there. So yeah, like I said, I was just like, well, I bet you the next time we sit down and we have a conversation, you gonna make it worth my while because I'm gonna make it. I'm make sure that I'm gonna remind y'all of what y'all did right after I beat y'all fighters' ass. So I was just,
So,
what I'm saying, gonna keep them honest, if you will.
No, appreciate it, man. Thank you, Brandon. Yeah, we gotta save it for after the fight, man. No, you know what? We got him now, right here. This really is the last one. When you talk about how it sucked at first, life, and everything, and you had your trials and tribulations. Was it a series of events and just how you grew up that eventually molded you into a man that walks on the straight and narrow? Or was there one moment in particular you could point to that something happened in your life that made you go the direction you've been going for the last decades in your life?
I always tell the story of it was an Italian man. He was my little brother's third grade teacher, a substitute teacher actually. His name is Brett Ernst. He's a comedian. He's actually the uncle from Cobra Kai, the
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they
yeah.
brought the show up. All right, so Daniel's brother, the one that works at the car dealership, his brother, Brett, well that's the guy actually who helped shape and molded me as a young man. When I was 13, actually when I was 12, I met him. But I didn't really kind of take much of a liking to him until or listen to what he was saying until I like turned 13. But one of the things he kept saying was to me, he's Italian as fuck, by the way. He's
Oh,
extremely, yeah, yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah.
go. We always
Uh,
we always try to help. Go
yeah,
ahead.
he kept saying to me, put your foot, try putting your foot in another man's shoes. You gotta step outside yourself, Brandon, and pay very close attention to your surroundings. He was like, because he used to trip off about how every time I used to come around, I wouldn't say much. I used to just observe him and watch him because in my mind, I come from Watts. I come from South Central. There's a white man trying to help a black, like, what are you doing? You trying to help youth, black guys? Like, well, what are you getting out of this? What do you want? And he genuinely saw a lot of himself in my little brother because my little brother had a Terrell Adams. He used to curse like a sailor. Now I didn't curse as much because I used to sit and observe. I used to be quiet and watch everything. But Terrell was like the opposite of me. He used to talk crazy when we were little kids. And Brett he used to see how my little brother was struggling, and then he didn't want to just always grab my little brother because he was like he didn't want nobody to be thinking anything weird. He's a substitute teacher, and he's picking up this kid or taking this kid out to go eat lunch. So he started asking for me to come as well. And while we were there, he just used to always talk and just kind of like put life into me,
Hmm.
have me looking at things from a different perspective. And one day, I ain't even lying to you, man. It was like a year later. I was in high school, and I was a ninth grader. And one day, I consciously started making a decision to do the opposite of what I was doing. Uh, I grew up real young. I was trying to smoke. I was trying to drink. Because I used to run in and out of the projects. My grandma, she stayed in projects in Watts. So I that lifestyle and that world was all that I knew from one corner to another. And going with Brett Ernst, and Brett stayed in Santa Monica, so he used to always take us to Santa Monica and see different things, and I used to always be like, man, like, why are you bringing us around all of these people who always look at us and stare at us all weird? And one day I got a little older and I was like, man, they looking at me weird because I'm looking at them weird. And I was staring at everybody like, man, what the hell is y'all doing?
He
And
may have thought that's what you were doing in class, sizing him up. Like, oh,
oh
you
yeah,
sizing me up? Like, what's
so
going on? We,
it
we
was
gotta
bad.
talk. We gotta.
It was yeah, it was bad. But the moment that I started to kind of in a sense smell my own shit, that's kind of when I start to like something just clicked. And in that moment of hanging with Brett Ernst and then kind of like reevaluating my life, I was like, man, dude, I've been living in a shell for so long. And I was a little kid. I was a little kid. And I just kind of started trying to do everything in my power to kind of see things different and appreciate things a lot more. And that's when, like, my life wasn't as dark as it was. Everything that happened bad to me wasn't like it was happening for me to be able to analyze it and accept it for what it is, but also understand that my life isn't as hard as it once was. It's much easier. So take advantage of it being easier. And all of a sudden it became easier and easier and easier. And so now my life is I'm a boxer. I'm a professional fighter. I'm one of the best fighters in the world. But I choose to do that. I choose to box. And every time I go and I go fight, there's a choice that I made. So I don't walk around and act like I'm one of the mad fighters who want to kill somebody and I get in the ring. I'm gonna beat you. Like I don't carry myself like that because I choose to do it. And I'm gonna have fun while I choose to do so. And everybody, it's their prerogative if they want to be however they want to be. But me coming my way, I go whoop your ass with a smile and see how you doing afterwards and genuinely mean it. Um, but during a sport, I view it as a sport. I'm not trying to kill nobody. I want everybody to go home to their family healthy. Uh, but I appreciate it. I appreciate Brett, and then I appreciate boxing because then boxing basically just grew me up with the little areas that Brett didn't or the message that he was trying to convey to me, it didn't reach. Boxing definitely did do so for me. So, I'm in a moment of appreciation right now, and that's why I'm going to open the can of whoop ass 11/13. Well, excuse me, April 11th.
Yeah.
It's April 13th.
Since we're doing a bonus round, this one's for the culture.
Yeah.
Who's the best rapper produced in South Central?
Mm.
For me, honestly, man, I haven't seen nobody do it the way Kendrick's done it. I know, look, I used to be a fan of the game, but that was only around the documentary. Everything else he started to produce, man, I noticed once he stopped messing with G Unit and everything, man, he kind of just started falling off. Uh, I'm just being real. Kendrick, as far as lyrically and everything, man, he's there. He's up there. He's the man right now.
Ice Cube? Oh, you got,
I mean,
No,
listen,
shut up.
Mike Tyson and Kendrick, that's a 36-year-old man from
yeah,
Watts.
I'm about to say, come on, man. God
That's
damn, like, listen, I know a lot of Cube's music. Let's not get it twisted. I grew up, you know what I'm saying, where all the OGs in my neighborhood, that's who they used to listen to. Cube, Snoop, but Sugar Free, DJ. But the thing
Why you
is,
bullshit?
Finish
yeah,
that one.
come
DJ
on.
Quit,
You know
shout
what I'm
out.
saying? Like, see, I know how to make Raheem smile.
MC8.
Yeah,
No,
but
good job, man. It was a pleasure. Pleasure talking to you. Time, flew. We had a really good time, and
appreciate
I
that.
appreciate you coming on with us. We bought that action.